Alright, welcome everybody to part 9 of Mix versus Mix, a video series where me and my buddy Sam are both doing a mix of the same song, and we're going to compare our mixes to see our different approaches and see how we did things a little bit differently. So in my last video I did say that this was going to be the last one, but I actually decided to split it up into 2 more videos to make it an even 10. So what we're going to look at today is just some of the automation, all these tracks that you see the green R, that means read automation. So I didn't do too much automation, and today we're also going to look at what I did for limiting. I'll just give you a little overview of my entire thought process on the mix like I did in the beginning, and then the next video, part 10, will be the actual comparison video of my mix and Sam's mix. So before I do any audio examples, let me just talk about each automation move that I did here, because there's really not that many. So you could see here that I automated the snare and kick samples that I added, and just because it was adding a little bit too much weight in the quiet verses. So yeah, just when the song is kind of more laid back, I dialed that back to like -10. When it hits hard, it goes up to like -2. So just to give the song more energy where it needs it, and to make it more appropriate levels when it's a more relaxed part. And then on these electric guitars, these are the distorted electric guitars. There's really 2 parts where they come in. This first part I left alone. And then when it comes in with the solo, I really wanted those guitars to like hit hard, so I just automated the volume up. And then for the lead vocal, I just did some real easy vocal writing. Same thing, where parts needed to be more laid back and quiet, I lowered the volume of the vocal. When the instrumentation got thick and the texture changed, like with these electric guitars, then I boosted the vocal to make it remain on top. And along with that, I also boosted the vocal effects. So same thing, when it's quiet, the vocal effects were brought down a little bit. When the instrumentation's a little bit thicker texture, I boosted that. And then as far as this pre-master here, all I did was like a fade out at the end. Just because it's the parts are kind of fading out altogether. I did a fade right here on the synth, but you know, just to make the whole track fade out and blend a little bit better. So real basic there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the limiting, and then what I'll do is I'll play the whole song for you start to finish, and then the next time we'll go ahead and check out the comparison video between mine and Sam's mix. So, I used my favorite here, my favorite loudness processing, because this isn't really a limiter. I say that almost every time I bring this up, but for the sake of it, I'll just call it a limiter, even though it's not a limiter. So I just did some real subtle compression here. You'll notice that this first tick mark right here is 0.5 dB of gain reduction. I very seldom even hit that. This I just really use just to make it pump and breathe just a little bit, but very subtly. I use a slow attack and a fast release because I really want that energy to be retained, and I don't want to kill any of my transients or anything like that. I'm boosting about 4 dB of gain on the loudness side. I'm using the dynamic perception to retain the dynamics of the mix, because sometimes when you use limiters or any kind of loudness processing, what it does is it chops off the top and it brings the low volume stuff up, and it just really kind of squashes it. This knob right here really just helps retain your dynamics, which is great. And then going back to the transients, like I said, sometimes with limiting your kick drum and your snare especially, the transients on those really get eaten up. So this just helps you dial that back in. And then as far as this ITP, I put it up towards the hard side, +3, just because this is kind of a more aggressive song in some parts, and I didn't want to have any kind of distortion or anything like that. Sometimes you'll get some distortion with this FG level, and you just adjust this slider a little bit, and one way or the other, and it'll sound a little bit nicer. And then as far as the dither, I kept it at 24 bits because this is going to be on YouTube here. It's not going to CD. If it was going to CD, I would put this to 16 bits. And then my ceiling, I have at -0.5, just because, you know, if I were to upload this to like SoundCloud or something like that, it would change it to an MP3. I'm not sure exactly what YouTube does, but I know that it does compress your audio a lot. So to kind of make sure that I don't get any distortion when I upload to YouTube, I just keep it at a -0.5. Now, if this was going to a CD, I'd have it at I'd have it all the way over here at -0.1. But like I said, since this is going to YouTube, I'll keep it at -0.5. And if it was CD, once again, this would be 16 bits. And also, my sample rate would be 44.1. The sample rate that I have running here is actually 48K. So real simple there. Let's go ahead and just listen to the track. What I'm going to do is I'll show all the automation. And I'll kind of just point things out as they're happening here on the automation lanes. So we'll listen to this, and then we'll talk a little bit more. I know this is kind of a quick video. Listening to the song will make it a little bit longer, but I just wanted to show you these things so you don't have any questions about it. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Okay, so you could see there are some really simple moves there. I did notice one strange thing here. Somehow my sample got cut off on both of these towards here at the end, which this is really kind of where it needs the sample the most um, because it's really thick. But in a way, it also kind of sounds a little bit better because the drums kind of get out of the way for the guitars. So I'm not gonna go back in and re-add a sample. Plus, I already sent my my mix down to Sam. But just so you know, there is a little something wacky going on there. I don't know how that happened, but that's okay. But yeah, that's one of the things about automation is just making space for things, adding energy. Automation is really, really a important step of your mix. The reason I didn't do as much as I usually do for this is because I feel that the way that this song was arranged kind of, how do I say this? It kind of helped, uh, it kind of helped with the dynamics. Let's put it that way. It kind of helped with the dynamic range and the way that things build up and the energy level in certain parts of the song, the build up for the chorus and stuff like that. So arrangement and the actual song itself, of course, are the most important part. Um, and another reason also is because I did a lot of dynamic processing on this. I did a lot of compression. There's compression on the whole mix, so things are pretty well contained, and you can pretty much hear everything at every point. The automation here is more just to make things feel a little bit more balanced and to give energy, mostly the energy. As far as the sample, that's more a balance thing, but for like the lead vocals and the effects, as well as the pre-master, that's more for an energy type of thing, whether it's adding energy or taking it away. So yeah, if I wouldn't have had as much compression, then yeah, there'd be a lot more volume rides on everything. But that's kind of what compression is, right? Is kind of an automatic volume control. Then as far as limiting, FGX all the way for me. It really just makes it a nice commercial level uh, while retaining the same vibe of your mix. So I hope that I didn't ramble on too much about the same stuff. I know I have a tendency of doing that. But I just really wanted to show you these things because I didn't really show any of that in any of the other videos. In fact, I don't think I even did any of the automation until afterwards. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned a little bit of uh, my thinking behind adding automation. I hope you can see how this contributes to my overall idea of creating a laid back feel, but also have an aggressiveness. Because if you remember from the very first video, the overview, I said I wanted to give this a punchy, aggressive feel, but also have a laid back feel. And that's something I was going for from the very beginning of this mix. And the automation kind of helps with that. And it also helps your stereo imaging in a way because when you turn something down, that means that your other stuff sounds louder, and it kind of affects the stereo image with your volume even. And that was the other thing that I was really going for with this mix. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, as I always say. If you really liked this video, please subscribe. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the comparison video. Please check out Sam's videos, and have a wonderful day.